Hey, 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 everyone. It's Friday. You know what that means? What's it mean?
Yes. Means I have a lot of work to do. Oh, wait. No. It means that it's time for fUNfiltered.
Unfiltered, yes. Marketing talk for authors. And I'm Shelly Brown. And Carol, you and I have not done this together in quite a long time.
I know. What a treat for me.
Seriously.
Yay. Seriously, a treat for me? Really?
Yeah. Seriously, it's such a treat that you get to do this with me.
It is. I love being with you, Shelly Brown. So,
me too.
all right.
Yeah.
Well, today, I love the topic for today and the direction that we're going because it is something so practical. You know, we have spent a lot of time talking about what successful authors do differently. Not just what they do, but in how they think about their books, their readers, and the message that God has given each of them.
Yeah. And those mind shifts matter a lot. But, because if you really don't think differently about your book, you'll probably keep doing the same things over and over and wondering why in the world nothing is changing.
Yeah, exactly. But today we're going to shift. We're going to shift from mindset into implementation.
Mhm.
So that means that we're going to go from what do successful authors think to what do successful authors actually have in place.
Yeah. And so we're starting with one of the most important pieces of an author platform. It's your website home page.
And before anyone panics, we are not telling you to rebuild your entire website.
No, we're not assigning website trauma today, okay?
Thank goodness.
Seriously. We're not saying that you need a brand new website, you need 17 new pages, custom photography, complicated funnel, 3 weeks of your life blocked off. We're not saying any of that today, okay?
Right, because some of our authors are just sweating right now, Shelly.
They are, okay. So, a couple of deep breaths. Let's just slow this down, okay? Because this is actually going to be a short series, 3 parts, I do believe. So this is part 1 on what successful authors build on their website. Today, we're focusing on the very top of your homepage, the very top. Some will call that above the fold, okay? So it's what people see when they first come to your website before they even begin scrolling.
Right, and that's really important because what they see first is going to matter.
Yeah. All right. So the first screen, this is a place, like I said, where visitors land and they immediately will start wondering and thinking and asking themselves, am I in the right place? Is this for me? What does this author write about? What should I do next?
And you know what? If they can't figure that out quickly, they will probably leave.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not because your book isn't meaningful. It's not because your message doesn't matter. It's simply because the path wasn't clear for them.
Yeah, that's a really important distinction.
Yeah, it really is because a confused visitor usually does not become a reader. They don't become a subscriber, a book buyer, or a ministry opportunity.
Right. They just click away and go back to buying something on Amazon.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
They really do. I know. So today we're going to talk about how successful authors make the top of their homepage clear, helpful, and reader focused. All right.
yeah. So let's start there. I think a lot of authors really see their website as an online business card.
Yeah. And honestly, it kind of makes sense. You know, a lot of people think I need a website so people can find me, so that they can see my book, so that they can contact me.
And that's not wrong.
Yeah, it's not at all. But it's incomplete though, because successful authors tend to understand that their homepage is not just a place to say, "Here I am." It's a place to serve the visitors when they show up on your page.
Yeah. It's not just something that's informational.
Right? It's directional, right?
That's really good.
Yeah. So your homepage should help the right person know where they are, why it matters, and what to do next.
Right. So instead of an online business card, it's more like the front door.
I love that. It's like just welcoming you right into the front door. I love that.
With the lights on.
Of course, not a front door where someone walks in and thinks, "Am I in the right house? Hello in there."
Yeah. Or where is everybody?
Right. Yeah. Your homepage should make people feel like, good, I'm in the right place and I know where to go next.
Mm.
So here's the first practical test for the top of your homepage. All right. If a brand new visitor lands on your website, can they understand within 5 seconds? You have 5 seconds, y'all, less than 5 seconds, who you write for and what kind of help, hope, story, or transformation that your book offers.
Shelly, 5 seconds feels really fast.
Yeah, it is fast, but online, Carol, people make decisions quickly.
Right. They're not going to study your homepage like they're preparing for a final exam.
Exactly, because they're skimming, right? They're deciding whether or not they're going to stay. This is where a lot of author homepages miss it, because they may be pretty. The homepage may be beautiful. They may have a nice photo. They may have a sweet welcome message, but the visitor still has no idea what the author writes, who the book is for, or why they should even keep reading.
So if that's the case, then what should the visitor or the guest on our page see in those first few seconds?
Yeah, that's a good question. They should see a clear headline, a short supporting sentence, and one clear button or next step.
Yeah. So really, we probably shouldn't put a paragraph on there.
Yeah, not a paragraph.
Probably not give our entire life story.
No, because that comes later.
And we probably don't want to put every single book that we've written on that homepage.
Yeah, definitely not.
So we're really going to narrow this down.
Yeah. So the first screen has one main job. Okay. It's help the right person know that they are in the right place.
So if I land on a homepage, I should quickly know this author writes for, let's say, women walking through grief, or this author helps moms pray, or this author writes faith-filled fantasy for kids.
Yeah, exactly. And if I can't figure that out quickly, then the homepage needs work.
Right. So this is where I think a lot of authors get stuck, because we want our words. I want my words to sound beautiful.
Yeah. And beauty matters, right? We love beautiful language. We love meaningful words. But at the top of your homepage, clear has to come before clever.
Clear before clever. I have to remember that. That's really good.
Yeah, because if your headline is so poetic that no one really knows what it means, it isn't serving your reader yet.
Kind of like a book title that we always talk about when we work with authors. So can you give us just a little example of that?
Yeah, of course. So let's say an author wrote a devotional for women walking through grief. Okay. A vague homepage headline might be Hope for the Journey.
Which kind of sounds nice.
Yeah, it does. However, it could mean almost anything when you think about it.
You're right, because grief is big. It could be grief. It could be parenting. It could be, or hope is big. Sorry. It could be grief. It could be hope and parenting. It could be hope on the journey on a travel blog, like you're actually going on a journey.
Right. So the clearer vision might be something like this. And so notice the difference, okay? From hope for the journey to faith-filled encouragement for women learning to breathe again after loss.
Yeah. Now we know exactly who it's for.
Yeah. And I know, the emotional space that the reader is in.
Yeah. So what about another one?
Okay. I love this part. I love doing this. So let's say the author wrote a book about prayer for moms. Okay. A vague headline might be something like living a life of powerful prayer. Again, not bad, but more specific would be, and more compelling, I think, would be something like helping moms pray with purpose, peace, and biblical confidence.
Yeah, that's so much clearer.
Yeah, and really okay, let's do another one for a Christian fantasy author. And we have several of our authors that have fantasy books out now, particularly for young adult readers. So here's one for Christian fantasy author: faith-centered adventures that help young readers see courage, truth, and hope in a new way.
Yeah, that immediately is going to tell parents, grandparents, homeschool families, even Christian educators that this might just be for my child.
Right. And that's exactly what we want.
Yeah. So the question becomes, as we think through our headline, it's really not, does this sound clever or does this sound impressive?
Right. Because the question is, would the right reader, I should say, would the right reader recognize themselves or someone that they love?
That's super helpful.
Yeah. So this is where we need to make a subtle but important shift. Okay. A lot of authors write at the top of the homepage from the author's perspective, from our perspective.
Meaning?
Well, meaning that they start with something like, I'm an author, speaker, Bible teacher, wife, mom, coffee lover. How many of y'all put it in the chat if you've seen that, right? Or you say something like, and maybe you have done this as well. So welcome to my website. I'm so glad you're here. Or I wrote this book because, right?
Yeah. None of that's really bad.
No, it's not bad at all, but it may not be the strongest first thing.
Right. Because the reader is asking, is there something on this website for me?
Right. So successful authors tend to lead with the reader's need, struggle, desire, or hope.
Right. So perhaps instead of starting with the question, here's who I am, answering that, start with, here's how this message is going to serve you.
Yeah. See, that's the shift right there. For example, instead of, I'm Jane and I wrote this book about healing from church hurt, you might say, biblical encouragement for women rebuilding trust, faith, and hope after church hurt.
Yeah. And that speaks to the person actually who is on the page, who needs that particular set of encouragement.
Exactly. And then the supporting sentence then can introduce more of the author's heart. All right. Something like, if you love Jesus, but feel wounded, weary, or unsure where you fit, Jane's writing helps you Jane's writing helps you process pain honestly while staying anchored in God's word.
Right. So that changes and it becomes more compassionate for the reader and clear.
Right. And that's the goal, isn't it?
Yeah, that would be especially helpful for authors whose books speak into really those tender topics.
Yeah, absolutely. Grief, trauma, infertility, parenting struggles, anxiety, marriage pain, spiritual weariness, healing from shame, rebuilding faith. Those readers need clarity, but they also need gentleness.
Yeah, and they need to know that this author gets them.
For sure. And you can communicate that at the top of your homepage without over explaining.
Yeah. So that's all great, but let's talk about the book.
Yeah. Your book needs to be easy to find on your homepage.
Yeah. You don't need a flashlight. You shouldn't need a flashlight or a search party to figure out what the heck you just wrote.
Right. So if someone comes to your website because they heard that you wrote a book, please don't make them work to find it.
Yeah. And sometimes I think authors bury their book because they don't want to seem too promotional.
Yeah. I think that's very true. Especially ministry-minded authors, Carol, because they don't want to feel like they're pushing their book on people.
Yeah. But making your book easy to find is actually not being pushy.
Of course. I mean, it's actually being quite helpful. If someone is interested enough to come to your website, they probably want to know more. So let them know, guide them on where to go.
Yeah. So should the book be at the very top?
Well, it depends. For many authors, especially if they have one primary book or one current release, the book should be visible very quickly, either in the first screen or right after it.
Yeah. So it's not hidden under resources or buried 3 pages or 3 clicks deep.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So what should the book section look like?
Okay, so a book cover, a short reader focused description, and a clear button.
So not just writing available now.
Yeah, no. Available now is not enough. Okay. Y'all tell people why your book matters. So, for example, instead of my new devotional is available now on Amazon, say something like, if your faith feels tired and your heart needs room to breathe, this 40-day devotional will help you slow down, return to scripture, and remember that God is still near in the middle of the ordinary and overwhelming days.
That's so much more inviting.
Yeah, it really is because it speaks to the reader's felt need.
Yeah, and then the button could say learn more about this book or get your
Right.
copy here.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So now here's where the final piece for the top of your homepage. Um, you need one clear step.
Yeah, not 12.
No, exactly. Because when you give people too many options right away, and is data out there to support this, you give too many options, most of the time they choose none.
Right, because it's kind of like decision fatigue.
Right.
Like decision fatigue homepage edition.
Right. I like that, decision fatigue. I think that should be a coined phrase because it's so real. So, okay, ask yourself this. What is the main thing I want a new visitor to do first?
All right, so what are some options we can give them?
Well, it might be learn more about the book, get a free guide, read the first chapter, buy the book, start here, join the email list, invite me to speak. If you're a speaker, invite me to speak.
Yeah, so how do we as authors really recognize which one of those to choose?
Yeah, that's a really good question because it depends on the primary goal of your homepage. You should always start with what is my primary goal before you even begin to build things out like this. So if your primary goal, if you're launching a book, the main button may be get your copy or get your copy now, right? If you're trying to grow an email list, it may be get the free guide. If you're speaking, if speaking is a major part of your strategy, it may be invite me to speak, right? If visitors need more context before buying and making that decision to buy your book, it might be more appropriate to put learn more about my book.
Yeah, and so the button needs to match the author's next step, and don't think that the next step is always the same thing, because as your ministry grows and as your book changes and as seasons shift, your next step may shift even on your homepage.
Yeah, that's a great point, Carol. And that's the theme of this whole episode, right? Um, uh, don't make them guess who you wrote it for. Don't make them guess what your book offers. Don't make them guess where to click, right?
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to accomplish here.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to make this really practical now for you. All right. This week, here's what we want you to do. Open your homepage and only look at the first screen, at the first screen, meaning above the fold, the top part. Okay. Only look there, what's visible. Don't scroll. Don't click around. Just look at what a brand new visitor sees first.
All right. So Shelly, I have a book launching, and so
Yeah.
I'm going to do this because I need to revisit. I haven't looked at really my homepage in a really long time, and I need to go back. And I have a feeling that my homepage still has a call to action that was for December and January. not great.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I think some of the questions that we as authors could ask ourselves is, can a new visitor tell who my book is for? Can they tell what kind of help, what hope you're offering, the story that you have, or the transformation that they're going to receive from your message? And maybe even ask, can they find my book or my core message quickly? So identifying what is actually written on your page. And then is there, the final thing, is there that clear button telling them what to do next?
Yeah. So there's your checklist there. Okay. And if the answer to any of those questions is no, don't just notice it. Y'all fix it.
Yeah. Because so this week, your goal and mine is to improve the entire top section of the whole homepage. And you know what? I'm going to do this in BMA. So in our private Facebook group, I'm going to share my little journey on this to make sure I'm doing it right. So we don't have to look at the whole website. And that's such a relief for me at this moment in my life. Not every page, just that first thing that people see.
Yeah. Okay. So here's what you're going to do. If your headline is vague, rewrite it. All right. If your message is unclear, simplify it. If your book is buried, move it higher. Okay. If your button is confusing, make it specific. If the first screen feels cluttered, clean it up.
Because that first screen matters more than you realize.
Yeah, it really does, Carol. You know, becoming a successful author usually doesn't happen overnight. It happens as you keep strengthening the pieces that help readers connect with your message.
And the top of the homepage, that is one of those pieces.
Yeah, it really is. And so this week, y'all, don't just think about it. Don't just think about your homepage, right? Don't put it off. We want you to take action and improve it. All right. Make the first screen clearer, warmer, and easier to follow for the reader that you're trying to reach.
Yeah, I love that we started here because this actually feels doable.
Mm-hmm. And that's the goal. You know, platform building can be and feel very overwhelming, right? But this is one practical and very important and impactful place to begin.
Yeah. So first, fix the screen.
Yeah, make it clear who you're right for, what your message offers, what the visitor should do next.
Right. And I remember, I love that statement. Clear beats clever.
Yeah, every single time. And if you want help with this, y'all, as Carol just mentioned, she's going to do this real time. You're going to do it live, real time, Carol.
Well, I mean, I'll post all the things.
You'll post all. Okay. All right. I got you. So if you want help with this, first of all, you can learn from Carol. She's going to take action. We're not just preaching this message. We're going to actually do it along with you, especially with her having a book that's launching. But we do all of these things. If you are not in Book Marketing Pro Academy, you need to be in Book Marketing Pro Academy. You don't have to figure it out alone, y'all. Go to bookmarketingproacademy.com and just check us out.
Right. So for those of you who are in BMA, and I know some of you watching today are, it's good to see all of you in the chat. If you have any questions, you can put those in the chat too. But, you know, what we're going to do is during some of our coaching sessions is you can bring your homepage, bring your questions, bring your, I stared at my headline for like 45 minutes and now all the words sound weird, right? And so we can actually help and start developing what you need on that homepage together. You don't have to do it alone.
Yeah, you do not have to do it alone. So Carol, let's take a look at the chat and see.
Yeah, so we do have a question from our dear friend Carrie, and she says, where do we put our author page if we have an existing website for our nonprofit or not-for-profit, as my husband would correct?
That's a really, yes, that's a really good question. Because goodness, I think it goes back, Carrie, to what is your objective, right? So if your nonprofit or not-for-profit website and the objective is for for your nonprofit, you can have a page for your book. If your book is relevant to the nonprofit, then I would have a page, a section on your homepage that drives them and shows them your book. If it's not relevant to your nonprofit, I would have just a landing page and have something that is just specific for your book. So I don't know if that helps you at all, but
I think she could put, because we know Carrie, we know kind of her story and where she's at in her world. She could just have a button on her homepage that leads people to a page about her book. So it's still there because it does correlate with her nonprofit, but it also is not really the focal point. It's kind of like the added blessing that they get once they recognize they want to be a part of that ecosystem.
Yeah, for sure. And for you, Carrie, I would definitely have, and I haven't seen your website, I don't think anytime recently, but most certainly would have your book on your website somewhere. But the thing is it primary somewhere, right? Where you can, when people who are really interested in your book, is there a place that they can go and it is right there above the fold and see your book?
Yeah, for sure. And one other thing you can do, just as you are kind of deciding how you're going to revamp your homepage, is start looking at other people's homepages. Do a self-evaluation. Go to homepages and of other author friends, of people that are further along the journey than you, because they probably have maybe someone professional doing their website for them, and ask those questions. What is their topic that they are promoting on their page? Is their message clear? How do they word it? What images do they have on their homepage? What captures your attention? And then just mimic those types of things on your own.
Yeah, that's good.
All right.
There
we go. I guess I can take
any other questions. Yeah. Well, this has been fun. Love doing this with you, Carol. We'll do part 2 next week. Still going to focus on another section, actually, and another perspective of your homepage. So we want to get your homepage we want to help you get your homepage to be like so ready. And what's that?
Amazing. We want a good homepage.
Amazing. Yeah. So, and to get those who visit, we want them to stay and we want them to make a decision and grab a copy of your book. So, all right, y'all have a wonderful weekend and Memorial Day. Yes.
Yeah. Enjoy the long weekend.
Those who sacrificed for us. So in America. So God bless you all.